What's up, everybody? Smoove Cosplayer here, your favorite salsa dancing cosplayer, bringing you another episode of Smoove Conversations. My lovely guest tonight is Miss Leah DeBerry, aka ChameLeahn Cosplay. How are you this evening?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing good. Honored to have you on with me tonight. So, Leah, when did you fall in love with cosplay?
So it's actually a funny story how I got into cosplay. When I was in middle school, my twin and I really wanted to meet a voice actor from a show, because we had pretty much always been watching anime. We grew up watching it, and we wanted to meet this voice actor. And we started Googling like conventions and stuff nearby, and pretty much when you Google conventions, especially back then, the pictures that came up on Google are pictures of cosplayers.
Yeah.
So we thought it was like a requirement to cosplay to go to a con. So we were like, it was like a week away, and we were like rushing at the thrift store and piecing stuff together. And we were like, I guess 10, 11 years old, something like that. And we just pieced together some Dragon Ball Z cosplays, and we went. And of course, most people are not cosplaying, but we had so much fun, we just kept doing it. And pretty much every time we went to a new con, we just had to bring a new cosplay, or at least a new variant of the same cosplay. And it was just always so much fun. We made a lot of friends by it, and a lot of great memories, and we just kept doing it.
Amen to that. Quick question. So you mentioned how you guys went to the con the first time and not that many people were dressing up. It's happened to me a few times, and it's never as bad as I imagined it. But that's always my biggest fear. Like I'm a big introvert at heart, and I also don't like being the center of attention. It's crazy. My hobbies put me in the center of attention, if that makes sense. I salsa dance and I cosplay. So all eyes are on me, and I hate having all eyes on me, if that makes sense. But that's always my biggest fear, getting in the costume, walking to the event, and I'm the only person dressed up. How did that feel when you guys got there and very few people were dressed up?
Well, so I'm a lot like you. I'm a huge introvert, actually, and I don't really like being the center of attention. But because of my family, my twin and I were always kind of thrown out into the midst of things. We were kind of like,
do that, right?
What?
So I guess being twins would do that, right?
Yeah, so basically the whole family wanted girls, like all of the family wanted girls, but they just kept getting boys, 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 and then finally they got girls, and not only were they girls, but we were twins. And so we were kind of thrown into everything, and we're both super competitive anyway, and so once we started like getting some successes and like some of our hobbies, like we did martial arts and like art and theater and stuff like that, it was like always being thrown in the middle of things, and I'm just like, can I go back and read now? So I just want to like hole up and read and be a little nerd. But in Alabama, there wasn't like too many cons around, and when we first got into the scene, the cosplay scene was not what it was today. And so when we first got there, it was like, we were very shy about it, of course, but once we got to see some other people in full cosplay, we felt a little bit better. But our dad was with us. Our dad took us to our first con, and the good thing about that was that our dad is kind of like a vet nerd, because he was a Trekkie growing up. And Trekkies pretty much invented the con scene and invented like cosplay and stuff like that. And so my dad has pretty much seen it all and been there and done that. So he was kind of like helping to, he was the one who taught us like, it's okay to go up and ask for a picture. It's okay to like, smile and get a picture. If you don't want to get a picture, just say no, like you're uncomfortable with it. So he kind of like showed us the ropes a little bit.
Gotcha. So I'm not going to try to get your age out there, but I know you say you guys have been cosplaying since middle school. So that's still, regardless of how young or old you are, that's a long time. How would you say your cosplay journey has been since then? I mean, between then and now?
So when we first got into cosplay, the scene was completely different. And we actually mention this when we do panels about cosplaying and people getting into cosplay. Now I feel like a lot of new cosplayers feel a lot of pressure to be perfect or like, screen accurate, and social media has not helped that pretty much at all. And whereas there are a lot more resources available today that there weren't available when we first got into cosplay, it still was a lot easier. It was a lot less stressful, because when we first got into the scene, people would spike up their own hair spray it yellow and they'd be Goku, you know, Super Saiyan Goku.
Yeah.
And now you have these humongous, like really expensive wigs that are fabulous. I'm sorry, I've got my dogs back there. But yeah, so it's like now if there's a lot more pressure, I feel, on new cosplayers. But the journey of it has been really fun, like actually meeting people and being able to connect people at cons. But I feel like the hardest part, it's been the best and the worst, like the best in both, or best of both worlds. But the good and bad thing about cosplaying now is the social media, because whereas you can get a lot more opportunities and learn a lot more, and it's easier to be able to follow and ask people questions on how they did this, and you know, where did you get this, and where can I find this, and you know, have a lot more resources available. I feel like that you also end up comparing yourself to these other people, and you don't know, you know, more than that millisecond that picture was taken, you know, that you don't know how much went into it, you don't know how long they've been doing this and how many mistakes they've made, you know.
Wow, you know, something you said really resonated with me. You mentioned with the pressure that a lot of people have now with, you know, social media, and also the fact, I think, that it's mainstream now. You know, people who aren't normally into cosplay or normally into nerdy things, they have more access to, not access to cosplay, but they see it. It's in the limelight now. So I think what I overall think is a good thing. But the one bad thing that's come from it is there's a lot of expectations from people outside of the community. It happens inside the community too, but from outside the community, you got people who think that it's a go home, they think it's a go big or go home thing. I was chatting with an old coworker, and he was like, "Yeah, I like watching." It's like we were talking about Dragon Con, and he was like, "Yeah, I like seeing all the good cosplays, but I don't like when guys just phone it in. I don't like when people just wear, you know, a t-shirt and a katana blade and think it's a cosplay." And I tried to tell him, of course he didn't listen, but I tried to tell him, like, look, we don't do this for y'all. Like, we don't do this to perform for other people. If y'all like it, cool, but we don't do this for y'all. Like, it's not a go big or go home thing. It's not a accuracy contest. It's not a look-alike contest, all of that. But you got so many people outside the hobby that think that, and that, like, even me, when I first got in, I thought it was a bring your A game thing. So that it was a good thing, because it got me to improve my costume, which was a good thing. But the reasoning behind it was, I can't half step, because I saw people's costumes before, you know, being on the outskirts of Dragon Con, but hadn't gone. So I thought, I can't bring this costume the way it is right now. So again, the good thing was that I improved my costume, but I also realized, no, that was not the right mentality. Forgot where I was even going with that. But yeah, what you said just reminded me of all of that, how that pressure, you know, comes from the social media, comes from the fact that it's mainstream and all of that. Now, that reminds me of something else that if you don't mind me bringing up, there's a post I saw you make, and the caption really, really hit me. Do you mind if I pull up IG real quick?
Of course, yeah, that's fine.
All right, so I don't know what anime this is. You guys, you and your friend, I think it's an anime where you're wearing like a volleyball outfit.
Yeah, that's Haikyuu.
Okay, so the caption is, "Remember to keep the play in cosplay. Not everyone cosplays for competition. I don't. Maybe one day I'd like to do a competition piece, but not every cosplay I make is going to be perfectionist quality, because that's exhausting and I don't care enough. I just really love these characters." I read that and I was like, yes, because I've been accused of being anti-accuracy, which I totally am not. But I think one thing that people don't get is being so detail oriented, being so caught up in the nuances, the details, and being competitive. That is exhausting. Like, so okay, just if you can just, I'll add my 5 cents onto it too. But if you can just elaborate on what you meant by that statement there for the people at home, because I think a lot of people need to hear it.
Yeah, so going back to what you said earlier about your story with how social media has helped you push to improve your quality, but you still try to keep it fun and lighthearted and stuff. So when I cosplayed in middle school, of course, it was a lot easier and it was a lot less strenuous. And literally the second cosplay I ever did was Death the Kid from Soul Eater. And he has this skull tie, and I had no idea how to make it. Now there's a lot more resources where you can have it 3D printed. You could make it out of Worbla. You could make it out of foam, all kinds of stuff like that. Well, back then I had no idea how to even start with that. I tried cardboard, but what I ended up doing was taking a rubber ball and duct taping it with cardboard spikes and then drawing a face on it. And then the stripes on my costume were taped as well. But people were very nice about it, and people loved the cosplay. And I'm just like a 14-year-old kid at the time. I think I was just about to start high school, and it was super nice of everybody to like the costume, because they get to relate. Hey, I like this character too. I know who you're doing, and we would make fun references together and stuff like that. When I returned to cosplay after high school, I didn't have a social media, and I was just continuing where I picked off or where I left off, and people were like, hey, you should make a social media, like that's how we keep up with everybody now and stuff like that. It was Instagram was the bigger thing at the time, and there was a lot more pressure when I first did Uraraka, when I first cosplayed Uraraka Ochako from My Hero, because I had just started college when I cosplayed her, and I didn't think I'd have the time or the money to really dedicate to making a costume at the time. And all throughout high school, I made costumes for a theater company. And so I was like, I want a break from making costumes for a minute. Right. So instead of just started college, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to take a break from that and just order something. Well, the week of the con, nothing came in. So I rushed to a Halloween store, and I got like a black morph suit, and I got some like soft fabric that was just the cheapest I could find it, but the color that I needed. And I got some fabric foam, and I made the puffy boots, and I literally picked up the wig on the way to the con at a local wig shop. And I finished it the morning of, and I put everything on, and I shot with a friend of ours from Alabama who is a very sweet and very professional photographer. I love him so much. It's Adamantium, if you want to look him up. He's super sweet, and he loves everybody, and he's colorblind too, and he does amazing pictures. Wow. But anyway, so yeah, he's awesome. But he took these pictures for me, and he asked my permission if he could post them on Reddit, and I was like, sure, go for it. I suggested a lot of the poses and stuff like that, so I love the pictures. I was like, yeah, sure, post them where you want to. I'm just gonna post some selfies from the con, whatever. And then in a week, my social media following on Instagram went from like 400 followers to almost 20,000 in a week. Dang. And I had such imposter syndrome, because I thought I had to be screen accurate or like have to be like super high quality. And I'm like, I literally made this, like finished it in the hotel. I made it the week of. I didn't hand make everything, And I had such imposter syndrome, and I literally I stressed out so much I broke out in hives. Oh. And literally lasted for a month. It was horrible, and I'm shaking just talking about it. It was just like I had so much stress come from that, and I felt like I really had to improve my quality to kind of keep to people's expectations. And for the following years after that, it really started getting to me, and I got to the point where I hated cosplay. Wow. And I especially hated cosplay. The last that it finished of me technically hating cosplay was about 2 years ago. It was that recent. So yeah, and it just I had been guesting at cons, I had been traveling, I'd been meeting people and stuff like that. I'd done a few interviews and a few podcasts and stuff, and I had been in a couple magazines, which was very flattering, and I loved it, but I still felt like I was a phony, and I had a lot more to prove to other people as well as myself, because my quality level was not what I thought people expected it to be. And it drove me to the point where, and I have a lot of health issues as well. And so at the last con that we guested at in 2019, I had a mimicked heart attack on the way to the con that we were guesting at. And so
you said heart attack, not panic attack, heart attack.
Yeah, so it was a mimicked heart attack caused from something called GERD, which is like a gastrointestinal, like acid reflux kind of thing. And so because of the heat coming from the sternum, it causes the heart to kind of restrict, and it mimics a heart attack. And so it's not like a real heart attack per se, but you have all of the same symptoms.
Wow.
And I was driving at the time too, and so I was like, I called over to my twin and was like, I think I'm having a heart attack, and she was like, pull over. And so I had to like pull over, and we swapped drivers. And so after a few minutes, like everything calmed down, and I was fine. I drank some water and everything, and we got some food. Just paused for a minute, and we made it to the con. I was doing a lot better. And then on the drive down, I started having the same symptoms, but it didn't escalate to the full thing again. But after that, I pretty much was like, I don't know if I want to continue cosplaying. I don't know if I want to, because I really love doing it. You know, I love being able to make things, and I love being able to challenge myself. I just didn't want the pressure that I had. However, two things happened, and one was the lockdown, you know, with COVID and everything. Cons canceled, and everyone was just cosplaying from home, which ended up being a blessing in disguise, because then I could cosplay at my own pace, what I wanted to, and I could just post whatever I wanted to. And, you know, then I started having cosplay as like my full-time job, even though cons weren't open anymore. And I was able to move, and basically my dogs, I had them like kind of restricted in like a tiny apartment, so I was able to like move where they have a yard, stuff like that, and it was great. And then the second thing that happened, which was a blessing in disguise, was my main social media, my Instagram, was disabled by Instagram, community guideline violations, and so I lost that back in March.
Dang.
I've been like rebuilding that, but otherwise I still have like my other social medias. But the main one that I'd always hated was my Instagram, and so now I feel a lot more motivated to get on Instagram, because I'm like, okay, well now I can make my page look how I want it to look, and I can share these old cosplays that people haven't seen 1,000 times anymore, and I can like, you know, do it how I want to, and I can reconstruct all of it and start from the ground up. And so it's been a lot easier now, and so that's why, you know, having all of this come full circle, you know, that's why I finally just made this post, because I still have comments like that where, you know, people are like, oh, well, this isn't 100% accurate, or maybe you need to do this, maybe you need to do that, blah, blah. And that's why I'm just like, I don't cosplay for competition. I never have. Even when I was guesting at cons, I made sure people knew I'm not here as a professional cosplayer. I'm here more as like a popular cosplayer. Because what they, you know, people think you have to be professional to guest at a con, and like there is that for a lot of like really big guests, but for us it was more like they want, you know, us as well as the social media following to come and to the con, and that it all was just marketing. But that's why my twin and I started doing if you know Ironheart Cosplay on Instagram,
right?
She is a psychologist, is a therapist, and she started this panel, and my twin and I picked it up with her permission and continue doing it at cons as well. And it's I'm sorry if you hear that, that's somebody on outside. But we do a panel called Coping with Anxiety and Depression in Cosplay. And it's both talking about how people can use the cosplay scene and being these characters to kind of step outside of your own skin for a little while, which is great. And it also talks about dealing with anxiety and depression in the cosplay community. And we have experiences with both of that, and so that's what our panel is usually about. So I just like to have people sit back and, you know, understand that, you know, you don't have to be professional. You don't have to, you know, grind until you know, your fingers won't move anymore, and you know, your back is hunched over and stuff like that. Like, you can just have fun with it, just like you did when you first got into it. Just try to keep back and think to that spark that first got you into it. You know, that first thing that's like, I want to do this. I want to, you know, I love doing this because I connected with this person, and oh my gosh, there's another person cosplaying the same thing as me. We get to connect about this, you know. So sorry I rambled. I just
no, do not apologize for that at all. First of all, thank you for sharing all of that, because wow, man, my mind is racing because there's so many different points I want to hit that branch. It's like, okay, spoiler alert for anybody who wants to watch Loki and has been watching it, but like I feel like so many timelines are branching in my head because I want to hit so many points off of what you just said. But I think I'll rewind back to, you mentioned the mimic heart attack, the imposter syndrome, the stress from it. I just recently did a video. I'll send it to you when we're done. It's my second video talking about how I think accuracy is overrated in cosplay. Not unimportant, not bad, not, but just that it's overrated. It's valued too highly. It's made to be the end all be all of cosplay when it's not. And one of the points that me and my friend made in the second version of this was that, accuracy can take the fun away from some people. For some people, it is fun. Like, it's fun for me to hit these certain details for this character, but for this other character, I might not care about the details. And in saying, that accuracy stresses people out and takes the fun away, I never thought in my head that it could cause what it caused for you, like legitimate health issues. So I'm just like, that's where, again, not that accuracy is bad, but the overemphasis on accuracy, the pressure that comes from that expectation of accuracy can lead to some unhealthy things. So I was just like, I'm not trying to be punny here, but I just really felt it here when you like emotionally here, because you said like, dang, that the cause, a mimic heart attack that caused like that stress. I'm like, this can really F people up. Like if they let it, which I'm glad that you and your twin are doing this, you had taken over that panel and continuing it, because people need to hear that, yeah, it can be used for good. Like I've said before, that cosplay can be not an ego booster, but ego repair, self-esteem repair, because there are people who, like you said, were in their shells before, and cosplay has helped them blossom. You got your late bloomers, you got your people who just couldn't, shy people like us. Then all of a sudden cosplay comes and I got confidence now. But then, like you said, it can also cause stress, also cause the health problems, things like that. Hitting on accuracy again, you say, you get those comments where, oh, this isn't 100% accurate, and oh, this you could have done this. Did I ask you? Like, people, y'all at home, y'all have heard this from me several times, but like, we don't ask for those comments. Like, if we don't ask, don't offer it. And you've probably heard people say this before. Oh, well, you put it on the internet, therefore you asked me. Like, no, we can't stop you from making the comment, but we literally didn't ask you. Like, it's not an automatic ask. What else branched off from that? You mentioned, I can never pronounce her name right, so I'm just going to say Uravity, because I know I can say that. First of all, you killed that costume. I don't know what version it is that I've seen, but there's one, because I think I shared you and your sister, they were dressed as Froppy, I think, as I started doing My Hero Monday shares or whatever. So there's a picture of you and them, and there's one I know of you. It looks like it's at Anime Week in Atlanta, because it looks like it's in the courtyard of that little hill or whatever. And yes. Every time I think of Uravity, I think of you, because like you just nailed it. So when I say nailed it so bad, I mean that in a good way, obviously. But then also the fact that you said you just threw that thing together. So I think that's another lesson for people at home. Like, what am I trying to say with this? Oh, you mentioned how you felt like, dang, is what I made, did I make this to the quality that people expect from me? Whereas I'm looking at it, I'm like, heck yeah, you did. Like, you killed it. But even with people who have, your skill levels are as high as yours and higher, there's still that, dang, did I do this right? There's still that, like you said, imposter syndrome. There's still that insecurity. I still have that insecurity, So I think that's a good lesson for people at home. Like, you don't have to be perfect. Everybody has those feelings. Everybody has those like, wow, is everybody going to receive this well? Are people going to like this? But yeah, it's so many feelings with that. What else?
If you don't mind me actually adding on to that.
Yeah.
And this is another reason to add on why when you say accuracy is overrated, because when you tell me that I nailed the cosplay, I'm very flattered to hear it. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, what might be accurate to somebody may not be accurate to everybody.
Right.
You know, and that's why when people are, I don't like, you know, most cosplayers, we actually don't like hearing, oh yeah, you're the canon version of this cosplay or whatever. Because we're not, you know, we're not going to be. First of all, I'm not Asian. I'm not going to be a representation of Uraraka.
Right.
And you know, and I don't want people to think just because they don't look like me, they can't be a good cosplay of this character, you know. And so that's another reason why I think I totally agree that accuracy is completely overrated, because it's, you know, it literally, we're all nerds playing dress up. Why take it so seriously?
Wow. I love hearing other people say that, because I've said something similar to that before, and people like came for my head when I said it. And I'm like, yes, we're all just playing dress up. Let's not get big headed about this. Let's not, you know, treat other people like they're trash because they don't have as big as a following as us. Like, we literally are just adults playing dress up. Have fun with it. I mean, be serious about it, but don't take it seriously. Like, come on. But yeah, like you said, that whole canon thing, that gets on my nerves too. I also did a video about that, but people are using canon incorrectly in the first place. Like, canon just means it's part of a official story. Like, I think who was it? Ninja Dash Cosplay on YouTube. Y'all go check his video out. But he basically said, if unless your cosplay is literally mentioned in a story, it is not canon. So nobody's cosplay is canon, which, you know, the correct term, and I still don't even co-sign with this usage of it. They should probably be saying, oh, yours is the accurate version because it looks like it. But still, like we were saying, like, just that emphasis on the accuracy, like, it's not a lookalike contest. Why stress that? You know, like, I think it's okay for somebody to say, hey, you're my favorite cosplay of this, or, you know, you embody this character for me. But like, when you start going into, or you're the best, everybody else can go home, all that kind of stuff, that's when it's like, no, just tone that down.
I've actually, again, back when I first did Uraraka, there was a lot of stuff that came from that, good and bad. A lot that still hasn't even died down from it, but that's a story for another time. But there was another cosplayer that I actually met through my social media kind of like first blowing up because of my Uraraka cosplay, and it was because she had done one too, and she was so cute. And I love how she did like glitter on her makeup, and I loved how she did her makeup. She did like the blush on the nose, super cute. I loved it. But to begin with, we thought that the other one hated us. Like, we thought that, like, I thought she hated me and she thought I hated her, because people were all the time commenting and comparing us as cosplayers. And and every single time, and I'm introverted, but I'm very outspoken. I'm very stubborn, and I'm very confrontational. And so every single time I'm like, if you want to compliment somebody's cosplay, you can do that. If you think somebody else's is better, and then, you know, you can go to that cosplayer and compliment them. But you don't have to compare. Take it from a twin. It's completely unnecessary. Exactly. So, you know, I've been compared to somebody else my entire life. I'm used to it, but it's not necessary. You know, you don't have to bring somebody else down to lift yourself up, you know, or lift somebody else up. We can all be on a high horse. We can all be bitches on horses, you know? Like,
right. Man, but yeah, that's another thing. People think that this hobby is inherently a competition, and it's not. Like, there's a like if I go to the con and if someone says, "Hey, you're the best snake eyes I've seen," I'll take that compliment because it's not directly mentioning anybody else. Like if I say you're the best Uraka, like that's not automatically. Like if I say that's the best one I've seen, that's not automatically saying, "Oh, well, the next person is trash." But if someone says, "Oh, well, yeah, your Uraka is better than hers," then I'm like, yeah, no. There's no reason to bring this specific person into that. Like, don't put us into competitions we didn't sign up for. Where you got this, I saw this other person at the con today dressed as that character. You did so much better than them. I'm like, no, leave, just
Oh yeah, no, I've even, like, when we were guesting at one of the cons, there was Danielle De Nicola, who I love. And she, first of all, she's gorgeous. I love her so much. She cosplayed Cindy during the weekend that we were there, and I haven't cosplayed Cindy in a while, but I have a print of it that's available on my table in my booth. And somebody saw it.
I forget which Final Fantasy it is.
This is Cindy from Final Fantasy. Is it 15?
The mechanic, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm getting it mixed up. I believe is it 13? I don't know. But anyway, I believe it's 15. Like, the last one that I played was 10-2. I played 10 and then 10-2, or most of 10-2.
Yeah.
But and then Cindy came out, and actually the only reason why I cosplayed her, because I knew about her as a character, but I hadn't played the game, because I hadn't played like a lot of games since before that one came out. But I cosplayed her because first of all, I'm from Alabama, and I used to have a very thick accent, and now since I've done theater and everything, I try to articulate a lot more, but it still comes out every now and then, especially when I get tired. And so before I've cut my hair so much, but before it was like down here, and when I would take it out of a wig, it would just be kind of messy. And I wore a red hat, and that had still had like makeup on my face, and I wore this like denim jumpsuit, and people kept stopping me at the con. I changed out of cosplay, but people kept stopping me asking for pictures, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not cosplaying. Like, I'm still in makeup, but I'm not cosplaying. And they're like, you're not Cindy? I'm like, no, I'm not Cindy. I was like, who is this character? And because I had the short blonde hair, and it was like messy and curly, and I had the red hat and everything, and then finally it was like, I think like the 13th person stopped me, and I was like, what is this character from? And they told me, and I looked it up, I was like, well, damn. And so finally I was like, you know what, sure, I'll cosplay. Just because it was fun. This girl was like, she's a cute character, and I was like, all right, I have friends who play the game, and I got to watch it a little bit. And so I just cosplayed it just for a few pictures with some friends, and that was it. So I have some pictures, like some prints available, and this person stopped at my booth and was looking and was like, oh my God, wouldn't have that been so embarrassing if you both wore this on the same day? I was like,
oh.
Who would that be embarrassing to? And they're like, but you're both guests, like, wouldn't that be like, kind of like who did it best, or like a competition? I'm like, no, it's not a competition. I'm like, look at her, she's gorgeous. I'm like, I've done one, and I think I look great. That doesn't mean we have to be compared. I was like, if we would have worn it at the same time, you know what we would have done? Gotten 1,000 pictures together. That's what would have happened.
Yo, Leah, I just want to thank you for plugging a bunch of videos I've already done. Just so y'all know at home, I'm not doing this on purpose. She's like setting them up, I'm knocking them down. I think I pointed in the wrong direction, but yeah. So anyway, so you mentioned like the whole, wouldn't it be embarrassing to be at the same con with this person? And like, I did a video called You Don't Own That Character. And it's like not so many people, but it's come up enough where people are like, there's no competition between people who have, like you said, if I'm dressed as this character and I see somebody else at the con, I'm making a beeline to that person. We getting pictures together. We besties now. All of that. Like there are too many cosplayers and too few characters for anybody to feel like they can be the only person that cosplays them or the only person at the con, especially if you got somebody popular. Like, don't think you're gonna show up to the con as Cloud and nobody else is gonna be Cloud. If it happens, eat it up that day, because it's not likely. But yeah, I think you also you brought up another point, and I missed, and I lost it. Oh, so how you just came upon Cindy because people just thought you were her, even though you weren't dressed as her. I think I'm going to have to cosplay Hitman at some point because I do Rude from Final Fantasy VII. I think that's how you and I actually met. I was looking for Tifa's to. I know we never actually made it happen, but I was looking for Tifa's to do a shoot with, and then that's how I came across you. But whenever I cosplay Rude, and thank God we got the remake because his costume was different. And I'm like, yes, people will finally stop mistaking me for Men in Black, for Agent Bubbles from Lilo and Stitch, and Hitman. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I might as well just do Bubbles and Hitman because everybody thinks I'm them anyway. So let me just go ahead and do that. But speaking of Final Fantasy VII, have you played the remake?
I have not. A friend let me borrow the game. Mm-hmm. My twin played most of it, and then by the time we had to return, I hadn't gotten a chance to.
Gotcha. So had you seen her? Had you seen them play it?
Yes. I think we got through to. Trying to think. I think we got through the market where they all had to wear dresses and everything. So we got through to that.
Gotcha. What are your thoughts so far on what has happened? Because I think by that point, there's enough of things changing and little other elements that we're not used to in there. How are you feeling about all of that so far?
So far I like it because it's a more modern representation of it. It's more I feel like it has a lot more where there's not so much left to the interpretation of the player because which that's usually why people always think, oh well, the book was better than the movie because it happens in your mind, But when we first ever knew anything about Final Fantasy VII was when we were kids, was when Final Fantasy Advent Children, the movie, had come out. And so my twin and I got to watch Advent Children, and then we got to see like our brothers play Crisis Core, and I loved it. Like I played it later because I love Zack so much, but whenever they would go back and play Final Fantasy, I'm like, this doesn't seem as great anymore because they're a little boxy, and it's like
little pop-out forearms and all of that.
So you have to keep up more with the story, which I love reading, but at the time, it was like, well, now it's like, you kind of lose some of the video game aspect of it, which of course was it was still great back then, obviously, me being born into the late 90s, I was like, okay, well, this is great, and I see like, all of the stuff around this area, so I was kind of on the cusp, but I preferred Crisis Core because it was more of that newer, rendition and the high quality and stuff like that, which I loved it. And I just also love Zack. But I didn't like how some of Crisis Core played out, and so I'm glad that Crisis Core is no longer a canon part of the storyline, and they're kind of mixing it in. Because Sephiroth, the backstory in Crisis Core was just really half-assed. I'm sorry. It was just like he learned facts, and then he went to a library for a week, and then he went crazy. And so there wasn't much depth into that, and that's something that I love as somebody who loves reading. And I'm actually writing currently. I'm in the middle of like 2 stories, and I love being able to delve into these characters, and even with villains. I wanted to be a criminal profilist for the longest time because I love like picking apart like why people do the things that they do.
Yeah.
And with Sephiroth being such an iconic villain, that was again like you get a great villain in Final Fantasy VII, but when you actually get to see the turn of it, you didn't get much. And so that's why I'm glad that they're changing some things from the original story in the remake, because it's like you get a little bit more. It's like they thought it through a little bit better, So.
Yeah, I love talking Final Fantasy VII with people from different backgrounds and ages, just because it gives me a different perspective of what they love about it when they came in on it. So I'm dating myself here when I say this. I played the original when it came out. I was in my sophomore year of high school when that came out. So like, playing it then, and then hear from someone whose introduction to it was Advent Children, and then Crisis Core. So I'm just getting to see all these different angles of the fandom, and it's amazing. Like I've grown in my fandom, just overall geek fandom, to where I was that person who, oh, if you didn't like the original, if you didn't like the one that I came in on, then it's trash. But like those days are long. Those days are long gone.
I think we all go through that at some point.
So thankfully that's gone, and I'm just learning to appreciate, not just appreciate, but love getting to see, somebody else's point of view on it. So that's amazing. Speaking of fandoms, backtracking to another one, what drew you into My Hero Academia?
So Alex has always been really into superheroes. Kai, my twin, and they've always been into superheroes. If you want to quiz them on anything, especially with the Bat family, oh my God, they will go off for hours. So, always been into comics and everything like that. So, and basically ever since we were little, we always made up like stories together. And we always made up like different, we called them games, because we would like role play these stories out, and like we have superpowers and and stuff like that. So, basically when My Hero came out, it was like, I think there was only 4 episodes out when we first started watching it, because my twin saw some of the pictures from it. It was like, this is my shit, basically. And so we were like, all right, let's give it a try. And we loved it. It was fantastic, in the beginning and everything. But what's actually funny, just branching off for just a quick second, just on that topic, if you actually know about Naruto and the creator of Naruto also has an identical twin. Oh. And his identical twin also wrote a manga that was very similar to Naruto, but a lot darker. And there were so many people, like, when I found this out, it was in a forum and on TikTok and everything, and there were so many people talking about, oh, well, which twin stole the idea, which twin ripped off the other, and blah, blah, now we have to know. And it's like, people don't understand twins all that much, because how I interpreted it was basically the twins did the same thing that me and my twin did, and we came up with the same stories at the same age, and then as we get older, they diverge a little bit, because in one of my comics that I'm writing, I'm throwing in something that my twin and I always had this idea of since we were little, but we've interpreted it 2 different ways. And then want to throw it into something too, which I think is super fun. But that's my little digress there. But we actually got into My Hero from my twin. Always has loved comics, always loved superheroes, and we got into it, and it was like a fresh take on it, because it basically is like the X-Men, but it skips all of the wars and stuff like that about, oh, well, you can't have powers because I'm normal. It can basically skip all of that, just go straight to the action of, okay, superheroes are normal, everybody has powers. And so it's fun, it just throws you right into it.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I got into it. Akio Boy, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, so I got into it. Now, mind you, I had seen many My Hero cosplays before this, so I see it and not knowing what I'm looking at, right? So Ronnie approached me about doing so he's got a web series that's a parody of it. So my character, and now this episode never aired, but my character is a parody of Mr. Aizawa, Eraserhead. I was like, okay, I might need to watch this a few times to see if I can, embody the character. So I saw a YouTube video of the best of Eraserhead. So, and I finished, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to watch this. So I started watching it, and I got sucked in. So I think I've seen everything that's been converted to dubs. No apology. I've always been a dub. I'm not a dubs are better than subs guy. I'm just someone who prefers dubs. Like if I have a choice, I'll watch the dub. If there's no dub out there, I'm gonna watch the sub. But if I know there's going to be a dub coming out, I'll sit and wait till it comes out. So I've seen everything that's been dubbed already with My Hero. I love that. This is a love-hate thing for me with and why am I forgetting his Deku? I don't know why. I promise I watched it, y'all. Don't y'all sit there at home and think that I'm lying. Deku and Uravity, like, I love the fact that at this point they still haven't become a couple. Like, we all know that there's some interest there, probably maybe even more on Uraka's end, I think, because Deku, he's just, I want to be hero, I want to be hero, I want to be hero, and any little, we know he likes her too, but like any type of attention, affection he gets from a girl, he's like, what's her name? I can't remember now. This person's name I really don't know, but she showed up, I think, during the sports festival. She has the pink hair. She's
Hatsume.
Right. So every time she gets super close to him, he freaks the F out. Right. So, but yeah.
And she also has no sense of a personal bubble.
I know. I don't even think she knows she's doing what she's doing, and she doesn't know that the effect she's having on people. But yeah, I love how they're not going through the traditional love story with those two. But at the same time, I'm like, man, if y'all don't stop playing around and just go ahead and just hold hands at least, like, it's refreshing and annoying at the same time, if that makes sense. Like, I love that they're not being forced to be in a relationship, but it's still like, come on, y'all. Any episode now.
See, I love, when I was younger, I always loved action anime. And then as I got into high school and even now, I really love romance anime and sports anime. But I like it when it's its own thing, and it's like there can be subplots, but it can wait, because then it keeps you wanting that. Yeah. So my favorite anime is Yu Yu Hakusho. And we all know that Yusuke and Keiko were going to be canon, but you don't really get anything from them until the very last episode of the series. But it's still, it still is part of the plot, It still is included, it still is referenced to, and it still is a motivator for the main character. With Prince of Tennis, I can't remember the girl's name. I know it starts with an S. I just know I can't pronounce it. But I think it's Sakuno. But anyway, so it's set up from the very beginning that she likes Ryoma, and every chance she gets, she's cheering for him and stuff. And it's still reference to that he has a protective about her, but he's already a very closed person, like emotionally, and then he's just very driven into the sport. But it's still referenced to when necessary as a necessary motivator. The only thing that My Hero lacks is that it's referenced to, yes, and it's a motivator for Uravity, but not so much for Deku. Right. And so I would rather it have the motivator for Deku, but when it's when it's only for Uravity, it kind of makes me feel like she's lacking as a character, because she's got other ways to motivate herself. Her first motivator that we know of is her parents being poor. Right. And but we don't get any more of that. After that, it's all just what would Deku do and what does Deku think, and let me do this, and it's all about Deku after that. And so it's not so much of a motivator for the plot, it's more just a character fallback kind of thing. And so I feel like it's very lacking in My Hero. But at the same time, My Hero is an action anime and it's not set up really for much romance. Even among the teachers, you would think there would be at least something, but we barely get anything there. So it's very set up to be an action anime, but I'm glad that there is still very human aspects about it. Like there are high school people who have crushes on another student, and stuff like that. So like it's very real. But I do wish that when it did reference these things, it had more plot-based action.
One of the animes you just mentioned, there was I totally forgot the name of it. Ashley probably didn't even understand what you said. I'm gonna just take notes when I watch the video again. But you mentioned how there's like a romance story that we don't see it come to fruition until like the very last episode, right?
Yes, the Yu Hakusho.
Yeah. Have you watched the remake of She-Ra?
Which one?
She-Ra, the Princesses of Power.
I've watched a bit of it. Yes, my twin I think has watched it all the way through, so I know bits and pieces about it.
Okay, all right. I'll shut up then.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I've watched like the first season, and then my twin has told me I've just found everything about it.
Okay, gotcha. But yeah, so I mean, we all know Bo and Shimmer like each other, and I didn't pick up on this at first, but you know, with Adora and Catra. So both of those couples, like both of them, like at the very, very end, it's what's the word I'm looking for? My words just want to leave me while I'm on camera. They become official at the end. It's just like, on one hand, it's like, yes, thank you. And then the other hand is like, really, you gonna wait till now to give us this? But yeah, so what you said just reminded me of those relationships. It was very touching and very heartfelt when it happened. But after the fact, after all the feels are over, you're like, could we have gotten this a little bit earlier so we can enjoy seeing them together? But yeah, so it is left for you to just kind of imagine after that, because I think they have actually officially said it's done.
Yeah, with Yu Yu Hakusho, so if you know about Hunter x Hunter, Hunter x Hunter is done by the same creator who does Yu Yu Hakusho, Yoshihiro Togashi. He's actually married to the creator of Sailor Moon. Oh, wow. So they actually pioneered a lot of modern anime today because they basically set up all of the plot points you see today. A lot of it roots back to them in a lot of different ways. And I'll be watching like My Hero, and part of the reason why I can't like watch My Hero much anymore is because I'm just like, that looks like he just like pieced together like from Bleach and Naruto and Yu Yu Hakusho and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I can see where it's like pulled from, and it's not in the funny like way that like Jujutsu Kaisen is, because Jujutsu Kaisen, they just blatantly throw it out like, I wanted to shoot a ray gun or like a spirit bomb or like a Kamehameha or a Bankai, and he just references to all these animes, and it's great, and it's kind of like a tip in your hat to him. But with My Hero, it's kind of like a oh well, you know, they like this, like fans like this and that one, so I'm just gonna like add it in, but I'm gonna make it up a little bit, you know. And so like I like seeing it, but at the same time it's like I feel like it wasn't done like in the best tact way, but you know, we still like to see it. But yeah, so with Yu Yu Hakusho, it's really referenced to basically from the very beginning, and it's still like main plot points. And so this isn't much of a spoiler, but the very first episode, the main character dies. And that's what actually gets you hooked, because you're just like, wait a minute, why did the main character just die? You know, and so he has to go through this trial. Very first, like half the first season, he has to go through this trial, and I won't give too much away because I really want people to watch it. It's my all-time favorite. I'm getting my boyfriend to watch it right now. So basically he has to go through this trial, and she is a huge part of that. And she's a huge part of the second season where he's in the Dark Tournament, which everybody knows about the Dark Tournament because it sets up for a lot of different tournament arcs. Because other than like Dragon Ball Z or the specific Dragon Ball, you never really saw a lot of tournaments per se. But once the Dark Tournament came out and Yu Yu Hakusho, that's when it really set up. And so you even see it in My Hero with the festival, and you see it like all kinds of different tournament arcs where like fighters or any sort of special like martial artists or anything like that, they all have like this get together, all hell's gonna break loose, you know. But even in that, with the big final fight, she's still a part of it, and she's still there most of the tournament. She gets there late, she didn't know about it, but she's still there the entire time, you know. And she's still a part of the show through the entire show, and she's not just a background character, which I really loved how it was tastefully set up and kept in motion, but it wasn't the main plot. You know, we still get the action packed, we still get, you know, the fist slinging and the blood going and stuff like that. So, but that's why, you know, like with something like She-Ra, I really wish that fans would have gotten more like more of the setup and more of like, I know that it was set up pretty well, but it still was kind of done on the download due to like Western media and like the censorship and everything. So I understand that, but I still, you know, just me with somebody who loves writing, I don't like just coincidental things. I don't just like things just like plop into a close or whatever. I like it being set up and like taking time, you know.
Gotcha.
Sorry to ramble there.
So I'll hit you with a few just random spitfire questions to wrap us up here. If you could have any pre-existing quirk from My Hero, what would it be?
Bakugo's quirk, because I sweat a lot. I feel like it would be put to use. No, but honestly, probably Bakugo's quirk, because I do sweat a lot, and it's a pretty cool quirk. But for practical reasons, I'd probably say like maybe like something like Nejire or Uraka or something like that. Just, or even Midoriya's mom. Like all the time, I'd be sitting across the room, and I'm just like, man, if I could just reach the remote and just like, you know, use the force and bring it to me.
That's what I would want to, but I needed to be, because telekinesis has always been like my favorite power to have. But I'm like, I need some Jean Grey or Ebony Maw from Infinity War level telekinesis. Like I can't just have, oh, let me just get that pencil over there. I need to be like, because depending on how you write it, it can be just as simple as that, or some people have written it to where, no, you don't just move objects with your mind, you can manipulate matter with your mind. So like you got people changing their clothes with their telekinesis, you got people teleporting with their telekinesis. So like somewhere like in the middle, if you go in the middle of those extremes, that's so lovely.
I'm sorry. This is my
No, I'm like, one of these days my daughter's gonna wake up and come downstairs and be on camera. So I'm like, this but if you look at the middle of those extremes, you got people who, like, if you got telekinesis, you basically have the Force from Star Wars. Like, you can fly, force fields, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, that would be my power, but just not at her level. Let's see what else. So if you could have anybody from any other anime fight Goku and beat him, who would it be?
Saitama.
Nice.
Saitama for one punch. I've got him right here, actually.
Yes.
I'm a huge Punch Man fan.
And I ask that because I'm a big DBZ fan. Yes, I am a basic anime fan. Like DBZ is my favorite, but I'm not that, oh, but can they beat Goku? But can they? I'm not that guy. He's not even my favorite in there. Like the Team Vegeta all day, and then Piccolo after that. But yeah, just I threw that out there just to annoy the.
Well, Goku can't even beat Chi-Chi half the time. She wears the pants in the house.
No. It's funny to me. I don't know if you've watched, if you kept up with Dragon Ball Super, but there's this line towards the end of Dragon Ball Super. Well, not the end, but like towards the end of what we have so far. Vegeta's like, yeah, Goku, you ain't know? Like, Saiyans, we just love strong women. And everybody's like,
everybody's like, now it makes sense.
Right, that's why they put up with Bulma and Chi-Chi. Because I'm just like, look, now, don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating for, hitting anybody. But I'm saying, how are you the Prince of all Saiyans? How are you the strongest, and you the strongest guy ever, but you're afraid of your wives? Like, how does that work? Like, you can at least put your foot down and just say, I ain't having it. Like, you ain't got to get physical. Don't be a doormat.
Then again, Chi-Chi puts up with a lot.
This is true. There's that meme out there that says, you know why Vegeta is not as strong as Goku? Because Vegeta actually raises his kids.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right. Goku.
I got Piccolo and Chi-Chi and
puts up with a whole lot. I do think she's too hard on Gohan, but she puts up with a lot from Goku. Like before Super, I was like, come on now, give Goku some slack. But after seeing him continue to be such a dumb in Super, I'm like, yeah, Chi-Chi, you was right. You was right. All right. If you could take any other, we getting Goku out the way.
Okay.
Any two other anime characters from any shows, and you make them fight, who would you want to have a match?
Ooh, probably Hiei and Killua from Hunter x Hunter. Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho and Killua from Hunter x Hunter, because they're so similar and they're both known for speed. I think that because they are very similar and they have similar characteristics. Like Hiei is a born demon who was just known to be he was raised by bandits and was just literally a thug from when you first met him. He was just a felon, and that's how he first came into it. It's basically like Vegeta, where Yusuke beat Hiei, and then he was kind of forced to help him later, and then they just became friends after that. Yeah. And then Killua is from a family of assassins. And so they both can is super fast and super quiet and could technically just tear your heart out in the blink of an eye. And so I would just love to see them go at it, just to see, just all of that bad blood come together. Gotcha.
Last one. Other than Deku, because I see the fan art. I've seen people that everybody wants to ship Deku and Bakugo together. Who would you ship Bakugo with?
I really love the Bakugo and Uraraka ship, actually, just because it's so cute, and she's one of the few characters that he actually refers to by name, which is a whole respectful thing in itself. The feat itself. And I also love the Bakugo and Kirishima ship. I love both of those so much because they're both wholesome and they balance out his badness, his black. Uraraka and Bakugo is actually my favorite ship in the whole show. Though it gets a lot of hate. I don't get into ship wars, but I still love Bakugo and Kirishima. But basically Bakugo, literally I've seen Bakugo get shipped with Toga, and I'm like, I don't support it, but the fan art is so cute, and you're just like, why would you make me conflicted like this?
I forget, because there's some of them whose names and faces I can't match together. Which one is Toga again? I forget.
She's the League of Villains. She's the blonde girl with the straight bangs and the buns, and she stabs people.
Yes, okay, I know what you're talking about. Okay, side note here. Her and Stain, right? These blood-based power people. How in the hell do you find out that you have that quirk? That by injecting someone's blood, you can do X, Y, Z. How do you even find out that that's your quirk? You going around licking people's blood? Just this, do you have to? Yeah, how? Just
I would try to think back to any time when you're a little kid, and I'm like, well, at one point when you taste somebody's blood, and I'm trying to think it was something wholesome where somebody got a paper cut and they just do the thing that they do in anime where they put it in their mouth or something. You would think it's something like that.
Let's hope.
But how do you discover this? Are there tests they could do where they just test you and determine, oh yeah, from your genetics or whatever, this is what we think that your quirk is.
And I did think about that one day. I was, pondering this one day because we all sit here and ponder weird stuff like that. I'm like, maybe at this point, because like it says, 80% of the people in that universe have some kind of quirk. So maybe at that point there's this scientific test that goes, oh, you have a quirk and you don't know what it is yet. Here's what it is. Oh, that's what I can do. Okay. I'm hoping that's how he found out, because I
think there should definitely be more hospital type quirks, nurse type quirks, healing quirks, like that. You would think there would be more because literally the nurse from UA is literally everywhere, and the hospital's like, well, we have to wait for her to get here to do blah blah, and you're like, you don't have anybody else.
Right. She's like, I'm showing my fatherhood here. She's like Miss Rabbit on Peppa Pig, because Miss Rabbit is basically like, she has every job in town. She's a bus driver. She works at this restaurant. She works at the aquarium. And then one day she's sick, and then her sister, another Miss Rabbit, shows up, and they're expecting her to know how to do everything. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you already knew about Miss Rabbit and Peppa Pig. Like I said, I'm showing my fatherhood here. Anyway, Leah, before we get out of here, is there anything that you want to get off your chest? Anything you want to promote? Anybody you want to shout out? Anything?
One thing that I like to tell people when we do the anxiety and depression through cosplay panel, go at your own pace. You know, you don't have to perform for anybody.
Yeah.
You know, whether that be, you know, if somebody asks you for a picture and you're just like, you've had a bad day, you can always just say, no, I'm sorry. Just, you know, be like, I'm sorry, you know, maybe I can catch you later, something like that. Or just, you know, but you don't have to perform for anybody. Take your time. You know, you're not on anybody else's schedule but your own. Take your time. You know, you don't have to, you know, if you want to, you know, like plan 3 new cosplays, you know, for each day of the con, go for it. But, you know, still take your time. Your health is much more important than, you know, fabric, you know, because there's all the time people will do con crunch and we'll have to pass around a cosplayer thing of make sure you hydrate, make sure you eat, make sure you know, take a nap. And it's just, so it's just, you know, cosplay will always be here, but your time is limited, and it's not so much of like on this earth. It's literally like you have so much time in a day, and if you want to spend all of it sewing, that's great. But you know, me now, I've got my dogs that I have to take care of them, and I got to make sure that they have some attention. As you can see, he doesn't get enough attention. And so, you know, it's like if I'm always sewing something, if I'm always working on the next wig, or you know, I've made shoes for cosplay before. It's like if you're always doing something like that, you're just always stressing about the next one, or stressing about so many likes and, you know, so many followers like that, you miss a lot of what's going on now. You know, you miss the now, you miss, you know, everything's going on around you. And so that's just speaking from experience here. You know, take your time, do it because you like it, not because you have to. You know, if you can make a job out of a hobby, you know, if you can make your hobby into a job, go for it. It's great to an extent, but don't do it to the point that you hate it.
Exactly. Yeah, I think you know, a lot of us will joke and say that cosplay is life, but y'all understand that there is life outside of cosplay. Don't just like Leah said, don't let it consume you so much that I wasn't gonna say, part of me was about to say that you don't lose your life, but I mean, it could cause some stress and some health problems to where that might actually happen. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that, you know, loosely, because it could actually happen. But what I more so mean to say is don't lose out on life because of cosplay. Don't let it stress you out. Don't let it make you miss opportunities. I had to tell my daughter the other day something super simple. We're at the beach. She wanted to make a sandcastle, but then she missed out on playing in the water. I'm like, baby, when you choose one thing, you're choosing to not do another. You gotta. I mean, she's 4 years old, but anyway. So, but yeah, just instilling that in her. That you gotta. What's the word I'm looking for? You gotta prioritize. But yeah, Leah, thank you so much for coming on here with me. Thank you so much for sharing so much of your life. You said a lot of stuff that you didn't have to fill us in on, but I think it definitely was good for people to hear, so that way they don't run into the same problems, and also that if they're going through the same thing that you are, that they that there's somebody, they know there's somebody out there. They're not alone. But thank you for sharing all of that. Thank you for geeking out with me here. Everybody watching at home, thank y'all for watching. Y'all have a good night. Y'all have a good time at whatever con you're going to next. Please be safe. Please be responsible so we can actually have the legit con season in 2022. Please do that. Good luck on your cosplay builds. Please hit that like button, that subscribe button, that share button. Leave me some comments. Go follow Leah at everywhere she is. I will have all of her stuff in the description. And I will see y'all in the next video. Peace.
Thank you, guys.